Although they tell me it's not funny, but let's have fun anyway.
This is not a comedy.
Yeah.
No.
No.
That's okay. That's okay. They all can't be funny, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, tonight we are reading Equus, playing Martin Dysart,
Adam Hyman.
playing Alan Strang,
Kevin Bain.
playing Frank Strang,
Kane.
playing Dora Strang,
Meg Dooley.
playing Jill Mason,
Kristen Kime.
playing Hester Solomon,
Deborah Seidel.
playing Harry Dalton, the horseman, and the first customer,
Swachhata Guha.
and playing the nurse and the second customer.
Taylor Lynn.
Act 1, Scene 1. Darkness, faint music. Dim light up on the square. In a spotlight stands Alan Strang, a lean boy of 17 in a sweater and jeans. In front of him, the horse Nugget. Alan's posse represents a contour of great tenderness. His head is pressed against the shoulder of the horse, his hands stretching up to fondle its head. The horse in turn nuzzles his neck. The flame of the cigarette lighter jumps in the dark. Lights come up slowly on the circle. On the left bench downstage sits Martin Dysart, smoking, a man in his mid-40s.
With one particular horse called Nugget, he embraces. The animal digs its sweaty brow into his cheek, and they stand in the dark for an hour, like a necking couple. And all nonsensical things, I keep thinking about the horse, not the boy. The horse and what it may be trying to do. I keep seeing that huge head kissing him with its chained mouth, nudging through the metal some desire absolutely irrelevant to filling its belly or propagating its own kind. What desire could that be? Not to say a horse any longer, not to stay a horse any longer, not to remain reined up forever in those particular genetic strings. Is it possible? At certain moments we cannot imagine. A horse can add its sufferings together, the nonstop jerks and jabs that are its daily life, and turn them into grief? What use is grief to a horse?
Alan leads Nugget out of the square, and they disappear together up the tunnel. The horse's hooves scraping delicately on the wood. Dysart rises and addresses both the large audience in the theater and the smaller one on stage.
You see, I'm lost. What use, I should be asking, are questions like these to an overworked psychiatrist in a provincial hospital? They're worse than useless. They are, in fact, subversive. The thing is, I'm desperate. You see, I'm wearing that horse's head myself. That's the feeling. All reined up in an old language and old assumptions, straining to jump clean hoofed onto a whole new track of being I can only suspect is there. I can't see it because my educated, average head is being held at the wrong angle. I can't jump because the bit forbids it. And my own basic force, my horsepower, if you like, is too little. The only thing I know for sure is this: a horse's head is finally unknowable to me. Yet I handle children's heads, which I must presume to be more complicated, at least in the area of my chief concern. In a way, it has nothing to do with this boy. The doubts have been there for years, piling up steadily in this dreary place. It's only the extremity of this case that's made them active. I know that. The extremity is the point. All the same, whatever the reason, they are now, these doubts, not just vaguely worrying, but intolerable. I'm sorry, I'm not making much sense. Let me start properly, in order. It began one Monday last month with Hester's visit.
Scene 2. The lights get warmer. He sits. Nurse enters the square.
Mrs. Salmon to see you, doctor.
Show her in, please. Some days I blame Hester. She brought him to me. But of course that's nonsense. What is he but a last straw, a last symbol? If it hadn't been him, it would have been the next patient or the next. At least I suppose so.
Hello, Martin.
Madam Chairman, welcome to the torture chamber.
It's good of you to see me right away.
You're a welcome relief. Take a couch.
It's been a day.
No, just a 15-year-old schizophrenic and a girl of 8 thrashed into a catatonia by her father. Normal, really. You're in a state.
Martin, this is the most shocking case I've ever tried.
So you said on the phone.
I mean it. My bench wanted to send the boy to prison. For life, if they could manage it. It took me 2 hours solid arguing to get him sent to you instead.
Me?
I mean, to hospital.
Now look, Hester, before you say anything else, I can take no more patients at the moment. I can't even cope with the ones I have.
You must.
Why?
Because most people are going to be disgusted by the whole thing, including doctors.
May I remind you, I share this room with 2 highly competent psychiatrists?
Bennett and Thorogood. They'll be as shocked as the public.
That's an absolutely unwarrantable statement.
Oh, they'll be cool and exact, and underneath they'll be revolted and immovably English, just like my fellow magistrates.
What am I, Polynesian?
You know exactly what I mean. Please, Martin, it's vital. You're this boy's only chance.
Why? What's he done? Dose some little girl's Pepsi with Spanish fly? What could possibly throw your bench into 2-hour convulsions?
He blinded 6 horses with a metal spike.
Blinded?
Yes.
All at once or over a period?
All on the same night.
Where?
In a riding stable near Winchester. He worked there at weekends.
How old?
17.
What did he say in court?
Nothing. He just sang.
Sang?
Anytime anyone asked him anything. Please take him, Martin. It's the last favor I'll ever ask of you.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. And he's probably abominable. All I know is he needs you badly. Because there really is nobody within 100 miles of your desk who can handle him. And perhaps understand what this is about. Also,
What?
there's something very special about him.
In what way?
Vibrations.
You and your vibrations?
They're quite startling. You'll see.
When does he get here?
Tomorrow morning. Luckily, there was a bed in Neville Ward. I know this is an awful imposition, Martin. Frankly, I didn't know what else to do.
Can you come in and see me on Friday?
Bless you.
If you come after work, I can give you a drink. Will 6:30 be all right?
You're a dear.
Famous for it.
You really are. Goodbye.
By the way, what's his name?
Alan Strang.
What did I expect of him? Very little, I promise you. One more dented little face, one more adolescent freak, the usual, unusual. One great thing about being in the adjustment business, you're never short of customers.
Alan Strang, doctor.
Hello, my name's Martin Dysart. I'm pleased to meet you. That'll be all, nurse. Thank you.
Scene 3. Nurse goes out and back to her place. Dysart sits, opening a file.
So, you have a good journey? I hope they gave you lunch at least. Not that there's much to choose between a British rail meal and one here. Why don't you sit down? Is this your full name, Alan Strang? And you're 17, is that right? 17? Well,
Double your pleasure, double your fun, with double good double mint gum.
now let's see. You work in a hardware shop during the week. You live with your parents, and your father's a printer. What sort of things does he print?
Double your pleasure, double your fun, with double good double mint gum.
I mean, does he do leaflets, calendars, things like that?
Try the taste of martini, the most beautiful drink in the world. It's the right one, the bright one, that's martini.
I wish you'd sit down if you're going to sing. Don't you think you'd be more comfortable?
There's only one tea in Typhoon, in packets and tea bags too. Any way you make it, you'll find it's true. There's only one tea in Typhoon.
Now that's a good song. I like it better than the other two. Can I hear that one again?
Double your pleasure, double your fun, with double good double mint gum.
Yeah, you know, I was wrong. I really do think that one's better. It's got such a catchy tune. Please do that one again. I'm going to put you in a private bedroom for a little while. There are one or two available, and they're rather more pleasant than being in a ward. Will you please come and see me tomorrow? By the way, which parent is it who won't allow you to watch television, mother or father? Or is it both? Nurse,
Yes, doctor?
take Strang here to number 3, will you? He's moving in there for a while.
Very good, doctor.
You'll like that room, it's nice.
Come along, young man, this way. I said this way, please.
Scene 4. Nurse and patient move onto the circle and walk downstage to the bench where the doctor first sat, which is to serve as Alan's bed.
Well now, isn't this nice? You're lucky to be in here, you know, rather than the ward. That ward's a noisy old place.
Let's go where you want to go, Texaco.
I hope you're not going to be much of a nuisance of yourself. You'll have a much better time of it here, you know, if you behave yourself.
Fuck off.
That's the bell there. The lab's down the corridor.
Scene 5. Dysart stands in the middle of the square and addresses the audience. He is agitated.
That night, I had this very explicit dream. In it, I'm a chief priest in Homeric Greece. I'm wearing a wide gold mask, all noble and bearded like the so-called mask of Agamemnon found at Mycenae. I'm standing by a thick round stone, and I'm holding a sharp knife. In fact, I'm officiating at some immensely important ritual sacrifice on which depends the fate of the crops or of a military expedition. The sacrifice is a herd of children, about 500 boys and girls. I can see them stretching away in a long queue right across the plain of Argos. I know it's Argos because of the red soil. On either side of me stand 2 assistant priests wearing masks as well, lumpy, pop-eyed masks, such as also were found at Mycenae. They are enormously strong, these other priests, and absolutely tireless. As each child steps forward, they grab it from behind and throw it over the stone. Then, with a surgical skill which amazes even me, I fit in the knife and slice elegantly down to the navel, just like a seamstress following a pattern. I part the flaps, sever the inner tubes, yank them out and throw them hot and steaming onto the floor. The other 2 then study the pattern they make as if they were reading hieroglyphics. It's obvious to me that I'm tops as chief priest. It's this unique talent for carving that has got me where I am. The only thing is, unknown to them, I've started to feel distinctly nauseous. And with each victim, it's getting worse. My face is going green behind the mask. Of course, I redouble my efforts to look professional, cutting and snipping for all I'm worth, mainly because I know that if ever those 2 assistants so much as glimpsed my distress and the implied doubt that this repetitive and smelly work is doing any social good at all, I'll be next across the stone. And then, of course, The damn mask begins to slip. The priests both turn and look at it. It slips some more. They see the green sweat running down my face. Their gold pop eyes suddenly fill up with blood. They tear the knife out of my hand. And I wake up.
Scene 6. Hester enters the square. Light grows warmer.
That's the most indulgent thing I ever heard.
You think?
Please don't be ridiculous. You've done the most superb work with children. You must know that.
Yes, but do the children?
Really?
Sorry.
So you should be.
I don't know why you listen. It's just professional menopause. Everyone gets it sooner or later, except you.
Oh, of course. I feel totally fit to be a magistrate all the time.
No, you don't. But then that's you feeling unworthy to fill a job. I feel the job is unworthy to fill me.
Do you seriously?
More and more. I'd like to spend the next 10 years wandering very slowly around the real Greece. Anyway, all this dream nonsense is your fault.
Mine?
It's that lad of yours who started it off. You know it's his face I saw on every victim across the stone?
Strang?
He has the strangest stare I've ever met.
Yes.
It's exactly like being accused, violently accused. But what of? Treating him is going to be unsettling, especially in my present state. His singing was direct enough. His speech is more so.
He's talking to you then?
Oh, yes. Took him 2 more days of commercials and then he snapped. Just like that. I suspect it has something to do with his nightmares.
He has nightmares?
Bad ones.
We had to give him a sedative or two, Doctor. Last night it was exactly the same.
What does he do? Call out?
A lot of screaming, Doctor.
Screaming?
One word in particular.
You mean a special word?
Over and over again. It sounds like Eck.
Eck?
Yes, Doctor, Eck. Eck, he goes, Eck.
How weird.
When I woke him up, he clung to me like he was going to break my arm.
And then he burst in, just like that, without knocking or anything. Fortunately, I didn't have a patient with me.
Dad!
What?
The answer to a question I'd asked him 2 days before, spat out with the same anger as he sang the commercials.
Dad, what?
Who hates telly?
You mean his dad forbids him to watch?
Yes.
Why?
It's a dangerous drug.
Oh, really?
It may not look like that, but that's what it is. Absolute fatal mentally, if you receive my meaning.
That's a little extreme, dear, isn't it?
You sit in front of that thing long enough, you'll become stupid for life, like most of the population. The thing is, it's a swizz. It seems to be offering you something, but it's actually taking something away. Your intelligence and your concentration, every minute you watch it. That's a true swizz, don't you see? I don't want to sound like the spoil sport, old chum, but there really is no substitute for reading. What's the matter? Don't you like it?
It's all right.
Oh, I know you think it's none of my beeswax, but it really is, you know. Actually, it's a disgrace when you come to think of it. You're the son of a printer and never opening a book. If all the world was like you, I'd be out of a job, if you receive my meaning.
All the same, times change, Frank.
They change if you let them change. Dora, please, return that set in the morning.
No!
Frank, no.
I'm sorry, Dora, but I'm not having that thing in the house a moment longer. I told you, I didn't want it to begin with.
But dear, everyone watches television these days.
Yes, and then what do they watch? Mindless violence, mindless jokes. Every 5 minutes, some laughing idiot selling you something that you don't want just to boost up the economy system. I'm sorry, old chum.
He's a communist then.
Old-type socialist, relentlessly self-improving.
Really, dear, you are very extreme.
She's an ex-school teacher, isn't she?
Yes, the boy's proud of that. We got onto it this afternoon.
She knows more than you.
Esther crosses and sits by Dysart. During the following, the boy walks round the circle, speaking to Dysart but not looking at him. Dysart replies in the same manner.
Does she?
I bet I do too. I bet I know more history than you.
Well, I bet you don't.
All right. Who was the hammer of the Scots?
I don't know. Who?
King Edward I, who never smiled again.
I don't know. Who?
You don't know anything, do you? It was Henry I. I know all the kings.
And who's your favorite?
John.
Why?
Because he put out the eyes of that smarty little... Well, he didn't really. He was prevented because the Gowler was merciful.
Oh dear.
He was prevented.
Something odder was to follow.
Who said religion is the opium of the people?
Good Lord.
The odd thing was, he said it with a sort of guilty snigger. The sentence is obviously associated with some kind of tension.
What did you say?
I gave him the right answer. Karl Marx.
No.
Then who?
Mind your beeswax.
It's probably his dad. He may say it to provoke his wife.
And you mean she's religious?
She could be. I tried to discover, none too successfully.
Mind your beeswax.
However, I shall find out on Sunday.
What do you mean?
I want to have a look at his home, so I invited myself over.
Did you?
If there's any tension over religion, it should be evident on a Sabbath evening. I'll let you know.
Kisses her cheek and they part, both leaving the square. Esther sits in her place again. Dysart walks around the circle and greets Dora, who stands waiting for him downstage. Scene 7.
Mrs. Strang.
Mr. Strang's still at the press, I'm afraid. He should be home in a minute.
Oh, he works on Sundays as well?
Oh, yes. He doesn't set much store by Sundays.
Perhaps you and I could have a little talk before he comes in.
Certainly. Won't you come into the living room? Please.
Mrs. Strang, have you any idea how this thing could have occurred?
I can't imagine, Doctor. It's all so unbelievable. Alan's always been such a gentle boy. He loves animals, especially horses.
Especially?
Yes. He even has a photograph of one up in his bedroom, a beautiful white one looking over a gate. His father gave it to him a few years ago, off a calendar he'd printed, and he's never taken it down. And when he was 7 or 8, I used to have to read him the same book over and over, all about a horse.
Really?
Yes, it was called Prince, and no one could ride him.
What? Why not? Why not? Say it in his voice.
He loved the idea of animals talking.
Did he?
Say it. Say it. Use his voice.
Because I am faithful. My name is Prince, and I'm a prince among horses. Only my young master can ride me. Anyone else, I'll throw off. And then I remember I used to tell him a funny thing about falling off horses. Did you know that when Christian cavalry first appeared in the New World, the pagans thought horse and rider was one person?
Really?
One person?
Actually, they thought it must be a god.
A god!
It was only when one rider fell off they realized the truth.
That's fascinating. I never heard that before. Can you remember anything else like that you may have told him about horses?
Well, not really. They're in the Bible, of course. He saith among the trumpets, ha ha!
Ha ha?
The book of Job, such a noble passage. You know, hast thou given the horse strength?
Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder?
The glory of his nostrils is terrible.
He swallows the ground with fierceness and rage.
He saith among the trumpets.
Ha ha!
Isn't that splendid?
It certainly is.
Ha ha!
And then, of course, we saw an awful lot of Westerns on the television. He couldn't have enough of those.
But surely you don't have a set, do you? I understood Mr. Strang doesn't approve.
Oh, he doesn't. I used to let him slip off in the afternoons to a friend next door.
You mean without his father's knowledge?
What the eye does not see, the heart does not grieve over, does it? Anyway, Westerns are harmless enough, surely. Oh, hello, dear. This is Dr. Dysart.
How do you do?
I was just telling the doctor, Alan's always adored horses.
We assumed he did.
You know he did, dear. Look how he liked that photograph you gave him.
Oh, what about it?
Nothing, dear. Just that he pestered you to have it as soon as he saw it. Do you remember? We've always been a horsey family. At least my side of it has. My grandfather used to ride every morning on the downs behind Brighton, all dressed up in bowler hat and jodhpurs. He used to look splendid. Indulging in equitation, he called it.
Equitation?
I remember I told him how that came from equus.
Equus?
The Latin word for horse. Alan was fascinated by that word, I know. I suppose because he'd never come across one with two U's together before.
Equus.
I always wanted the boy to ride himself. He'd have so enjoyed it.
But surely he did.
No,
Never?
he didn't care for it. He was most definite about not wanting to.
But he must have had to at the stables. I mean, it would be part of the job.
You'd have thought so, but no, he absolutely wouldn't, would he, dear?
I just lost the script. Oh, damn it.
Bottom of 23. It seems he was perfectly happy raking out manure.
Thank you. Got it there. Right. It seems he was perfectly happy raking out manure.
Did he ever give a reason for this?
No, I must say we both thought it was most peculiar, but he wouldn't discuss it. I mean, you'd have thought he'd be longing to get out in the air after being cooped up all week in that dreadful shop. Electrical and kitchenware. Isn't that an environment for a sensitive boy, Doctor?
Dear, have you offered the doctor a cup of tea?
Oh, dear, no, I haven't. And you must be dying for one.
That would be nice.
Of course it would. Excuse me.
She goes out, but lingers in the circle, eavesdropping near the right door. Alan stretches out under his blanket and sleeps. Frank gets up.
My wife has romantic ideas, if you receive my meaning.
About her family?
She thinks she married beneath her. I dare say she did. I don't understand these things myself.
Mr. Strang, I'm fascinated by the fact that Alan wouldn't ride.
Yes, well, that's him. He's always been a weird lad, I have to be honest. Can you imagine spending your weekends like that, just cleaning out stalls with all the things that he could have been doing in the way of further education?
Except he's only a scholar.
How do we know? He's never really tried. His mother indulged him. She doesn't care if he can hardly write his own name. And she a school teacher that was. Just as long as he's happy, she says.
Would you say she was closer to him than you are?
Oh, they've always been thick as thieves. I can't say I entirely approve, especially when I hear her whispering that Bible to him hour after hour up there in his room.
Your wife is religious?
Or some might say excessively so. Mind you, that's her business. But when it comes to dosing it down the boy's throat, well, frankly, he's my son as well as hers. But she doesn't see that. Of course, that's the funny thing about religious people. They always think their susceptibilities are more important.
And you're non-religious, I take it.
Oh, I'm an atheist, and I don't mind admitting it. If you want my opinion, it's the Bible that's responsible for this.
Why?
Well, look at it yourself. A boy spends night after night having this stuff read into him. An innocent man tortured to death, thorns driven into his head, nails into his hands, a spear jammed through his ribs. It can mark anyone for life, that kind of thing. I'm not joking. That boy was absolutely fascinated by all that. He was always mooning over religious pictures. I mean, real kinky ones. If you receive my meaning. I had to put a stop to it once or twice. Bloody religion, it's our only real problem in this house. But it's insuperable. I don't mind admitting it.
You must excuse my husband, Doctor. This one subject is something of an obsession with him, isn't it, dear? You must admit.
You call it what you like. All that stuff to me is just bad sex.
And what has that got to do with Alan?
Everything. Everything, Dora.
I don't understand. What are you saying?
Mr. Strang, exactly how informed do you judge your son to be about sex?
I don't know.
You didn't actually instruct him yourself?
Not in so many words, no.
Did you, Mrs. Strang?
Well, I spoke a little, yes, I had to. I've been a teacher, Doctor, and I know what happens if you don't. They find out through magazines and dirty books.
What sort of thing did you tell him? I'm sorry if this is embarrassing.
I told him the biological facts, but I also told him what I believed, that sex is not just a biological matter, but a spiritual one as well, that if God will, he would fall in love one day, that his task was to prepare himself for the most important happening of his life, and after that, if he was lucky, he might come to know a higher love still. I simply don't understand. Alan.
There now, Dora, come on.
All right, laugh as usual.
No one's laughing, Dora. No one's laughing, are they, Doctor?
He leads his wife out of the square, and they resume their places on the bench. The lights grow much dimmer. Scene 8. A strange noise begins. Alan begins to murmur from his bed. He's having a bad nightmare, moving his hands and body as if frantically straining to tug something back. Dysart leaves the square as the boy's cries increase. The sounds snap off. Alan and the doctor stare at each other. Then abruptly, Dysart leaves the area and re-enters the square. Scene 9. The lights grow brighter. Dysart sits on his bench left and opens his file. Alan gets out of bed, leaves his blanket, and comes in. He looks truculent.
Hello, how are you this morning? Come on, sit down. Sorry if I gave you a start last night. I was collecting some papers from my office and I thought I'd look in on you. Do you dream often?
Do you?
It's my job to ask the questions, yours to answer them.
Says who?
Says me. Do you dream often?
Do you?
Look, Alan.
I'll answer if you answer in turns.
Very well. Only we have to speak the truth.
Very well.
So, do you dream often?
Yes, do you?
Yes. Do you have a special dream?
No. Do you?
Yes. What was your dream about last night?
Can't remember. What was yours about?
I said the truth.
That is the truth. What's yours about? The special one.
Carving up children. My turn.
What?
What is your first memory of a horse?
What do you mean?
The first time one entered your life in any way?
Can't remember.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You have no recollection of the first time you noticed a horse?
I told you. Now it's my turn. Are you married?
I am.
Is she adopted too?
It's my turn.
Yes. Well, what?
What is Eck? You shouted it out last night in your sleep. Thought you might like to talk about it.
Double your pleasure, double your fun with double good double income.
Come on, now, you can do better than that.
Double your pleasure, double your fun with double good double income.
All right. Good morning.
What do you mean?
We're finished for today.
But I've only had 10 minutes.
Too bad.
Didn't you hear me? I said good morning. That's not fair.
No?
The government pays you 20 quid an hour to see me. I know. I heard downstairs.
Well, go back there and hear some more.
That's not fair. You're a swizz, bloody swizz.
Do I have to call a nurse?
She puts a finger on me, I'll bash her.
She'll bash you much harder, I can assure you. Now go away.
On a beach.
Scene 10. He steps out of the square upstage and begins to walk around the circle. Warm light glows on it.
What?
Where I saw a horse swizzy.
How old were you? Alan, how old were you? How old are you? How old were you?
How should I know? 6.
Well, go on. What were you doing there?
Digging.
A sandcastle?
Well, what else?
And?
Suddenly, I heard this noise coming up behind me.
A young horseman issues in slow motion out of the tunnel. He carries a riding crop with which he is urging on his invisible horse down right side of the circle. The hum increases.
What noise?
Hooves, splashing.
Splashing?
The tide was out, and he was galloping.
Who was?
This fellow, like a college chap. He was on a big horse, urging him on. I thought he hadn't seen me. I called out, "Hey, hey!" And they just swerved in time.
Whoa, there, whoa, sorry, I didn't see you. Did I scare you?
No.
That's a terrific castle.
What's his name?
Frozen. You can stroke him if you like. He won't mind. You can hardly reach down there. Would you like to come up? All right, come around this side. You always mount a horse from the left. I'll give you a lift. Okay? Okay, here we go now. Just do nothing. Upsy-daisy. All right? Good? Now, all you do is hold on to his mane. Right. Tight now. And grip with your knees. All right? Okay. All set? Come on then, Trozen. Let's go.
How was it? Was it wonderful? Can't you remember?
Do you want to go faster?
Yes.
Okay, all you have to do is say, come on, Trozen, bear me away. Say it then.
Bear me away.
You went fast?
Yes.
Weren't you frightened?
No.
Come on now, Trozen, bear us away. Hold on. Come on now.
Aaron,
Frank,
Alan, stop.
Whoa, boy, whoa.
I think we lost him. What do you imagine you were doing?
Imagine?
Okay, I found it again. Sorry. What's my son doing up there?
Water skiing?
Is he all right, Frank? He's not hurt.
Don't you think you should ask permission before doing a stupid thing like that?
What's stupid?
It's lovely, Dad.
Alan, come down here.
The boy's perfectly safe. Please don't be hysterical.
Don't you be la-di-da with me, young fella. Come down here, Alan. You heard what your mother said.
No.
Come down at once, right this moment.
No, no.
I said this moment!
Watch it. What?
Frank,
Are you mad? Do you want to terrify the horse?
he's grazed his knee, Frank. The boy's hurt.
I'm not. I'm not.
What's your name?
J.C. James.
Frank, he's bleeding.
I intend to report you to the police for endangering the lives of children.
Go right ahead.
Can you stand, dear?
Oh, stop it.
You're a public menace, do you know that? How dare you pick up children and put them on dangerous animals?
Dangerous.
Of course dangerous. Look at his eyes. They're rolling.
So are yours.
In my opinion, that's a dangerous animal. In my considered opinion, you are both dangerous to the safety of this beach.
And in my opinion, you are a stupid fart.
Frank, leave it.
What did you say?
It's not important, Frank, really.
What did you say?
Oh, bugger off. Sorry, chum. Come on, Trozen.
He urges his horse straight at them, then wheels it and gallops around to the right side of the circle, away and up the tunnel out of sight. The parents cry out as they are covered with sand and water. Frank runs after him and round the left side of the circle with his wife following after.
Splash, splash, splash. All three of us got covered with water. Dad got absolutely soaked.
Hooligan! Filthy hooligan!
I wanted to laugh.
Upper class riffraff. That's all they are. People go riding. That's what they want. Trample on ordinary people.
Don't be absurd, Frank.
It's why they do it. It's why they bloody do it.
Look at you. You're covered.
Not as much as you. There's sand all over your head. Hooligan! Bloody hooligan! What are you laughing at? It's not funny. It's not funny at all, Dora. It's just not funny.
And that's all I remember.
And a lot, too. Thank you. You know, I've never been on a horse in my life.
Nor me.
You mean after that?
Yes.
But you must have done it at the stables.
No.
Never?
No.
How come?
I don't care to.
Did it have anything to do with falling off like that all those years ago?
I just didn't care to, that's all.
Do you think of that scene often?
I suppose.
Why do you think?
'Cause it's funny.
Is that all?
What else? My turn. I told you a secret, now you tell me one.
All right. I have patients who've got things to tell me, only they're ashamed to say them to my face. What do you think about that?
What? What?
I give them this little tape recorder. They go off to another room and send me the tape through nurse. They don't have to listen to it with me.
That's stupid.
All you do is press this button and speak into this. It's very simple. Anyway, your time's up for today. I'll see you tomorrow.
Maybe.
Maybe.
If I feel like it. It's stupid.
Scene 11.
Doctor?
That same evening, his mother appeared.
Hello, Doctor.
Mrs. Strang,
I've been shopping in the neighborhood. I thought I might just look in.
did you want to see Alan?
No, no, not just at the moment. Actually, it's rather you I wanted to see.
Yes?
You see, there's something Mr. Strang and I thought you ought to know. We discussed it, and it might just be important.
Well, come, sit down.
I can't stay more than a moment. I'm late as it is. Mr. Strang will be wanting his dinner.
Ah. So, what was it you wanted to tell me?
Well, do you remember that photograph I mentioned to you, the one Mr. Strang gave Alan to decorate his bedroom a few years ago?
Yes, a horse looking over a gate, wasn't it?
That's right. Well, actually, it took the place of another kind of picture altogether.
What kind?
It was a reproduction of our Lord on his way to Calvary. Alan found it in Reed's art shop and fell absolutely in love with it. He insisted on buying it with his pocket money and hanging it at the foot of his bed where he could see it last thing at night. My husband was very displeased.
Because it was religious?
In all fairness, I must admit it was a little extreme. The Christ was loaded down with chains, and the centurions were really laying on the stripes. It certainly would not have been my choice, but I don't believe in interfering too much with children, so I said nothing.
Mr. Strang did.
Well, he stood for it for a while, but one day we had one of our tiffs about religion, and he went straight upstairs, tore it off the boys' wall, and threw it in the dustbin. Alan went quite hysterical. He cried for days without stopping, and he was not a crier, you know.
But he recovered when he was given the photograph of the horse in its place.
He certainly seemed to. At least he hung it in exactly the same position, and we had no more of that awful weeping.
Thank you, Mrs. Strang. That is interesting. Exactly how long ago was that? Can you remember?
Must have been 5 years ago, Doctor. Alan would have been about 12. How is he, by the way?
Bearing up.
Please give him my love.
You can see him anytime you want, you know.
Perhaps if I could come one afternoon without Mr. Strang. He and Alan don't exactly get on at the moment, as you can imagine.
Whatever you decide, Mrs. Strang. Oh, one thing.
Yes?
Could you describe that photograph of the horse in a little more detail for me? I presume it's still in his bedroom?
Oh, yes. It's a most remarkable picture, really. You very rarely see a horse taken from that angle, absolutely head on. That's what makes it so interesting.
Why? What does it look like?
Well, it's most extraordinary. It comes out all eyes.
Staring straight at you?
Yes, that's right. I'll come and see him one day very soon, Doctor. Goodbye.
It was then, at that moment, I felt real alone. What was it? The shadow of a giant head across my desk? At any rate, the feeling got worse with the stable owner's visit.
Scene 12. Dalton comes into the square, heavy set, mid-50s.
Dr. Dysart?
Mr. Dalton, it's very good of you to come.
It is, actually. In my opinion, the boy should be in prison, not in a hospital at the taxpayer's expense.
Please, sit down. This must have been a terrible experience for you.
Terrible? I don't think I'll ever get over it. Jill had a nervous breakdown.
Jill?
The girl who worked for me. Of course, she feels responsible in a way, being the one who introduced him in the first place.
He was introduced to the stable by a girl.
Jill Mason. He met her somewhere and asked for a job. She told him to come and see me. I wish to Christ she never had.
But when he first appeared, he didn't seem in any way peculiar.
No, he was bloody good. He'd spend hours with the horses, cleaning and grooming them way over the call of duty. I thought he was a real find.
Apparently, during the whole time he worked for you, he never actually rode.
That's true.
Wasn't that peculiar?
Very, if he didn't.
What do you mean?
Because on and off that whole year, I had the feeling the horses were being taken out at night.
At night.
There were just odd things I noticed. I mean, too often, one or other of them would be sweaty first thing in the morning when it wasn't sick. Very sweaty, too. And its stall wouldn't be near as mucky as it should be if it had been in all night. I have never paid it much mind at the time. It was only when I realized I'd been hiring a loony I came to wonder if he hadn't been riding all the time behind our backs.
Would you have noticed that things had been disturbed?
Nothing ever was. Still, he is a neat worker. That wouldn't prove anything.
Aren't the stables locked at night?
Yes,
And someone sleeps on the premises?
me and my son.
2 people.
I'm sorry, doctor. It's obviously just my fancy. I tell you, this thing has shaken me so bad, I'm liable to believe anything. If there's nothing else, I'll be going.
Look, even if you were right, why should anyone do that? Why would any boy prefer to ride by himself at night when he could go off with others during the day?
Are you asking me? He's a loony, isn't he?
It was sexy.
His tape arrived that evening.
Scene 13. Alan is sitting on his bed holding the tape recorder. The nurse approaches briskly, takes the machine from him, gives it to Dysart in the square, and leaves again, resuming her seat. Dysart switches on the tape.
That's what I want you to know, isn't it? All right, it was. I'm talking about the beach. That time when I was a kid, what I told you about. I was pushed forward on the horse. There was sweat on my legs from his neck. The fellow held me tight and let me turn the horse which way I wanted. All that power going any way you wanted. His sides were all warm and the smell. And then suddenly I was on the ground where Dad pulled me. I could have bashed him. Something else. When the horse first appeared, I looked up into his mouth. It was huge. There was this chain on it. The fellow pulled it. The cream dripped out. I said, "Does it hurt?" And he said, the horse said desperately. It was always the same after that. Every time I heard one elope clop by, I had to run and see. Up a country lane or anywhere, they sort of pulled me. I couldn't take my eyes off them, just to watch their skins, the way their necks twist, the sweat shines in the folds. I can't remember when it started. Mum reading to me about Prince, who no one could ride except one boy, or the white horse in Revelations. He that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. His eyes were as flames of fire, and he had a name written that no man knew but himself. Words like reins, stirrup, flanks, dashing his spurs against his charger's flanks. Even the words made me feel the way they give themselves to us. That was it, too. They could stamp us into bits anytime they wanted, and they don't. They just trot on and let themselves be turned on a string all day, absolutely humble. They give us all their breath, and we just give them stripes for it. I couldn't help myself. I'd watch any horse without stop, the way they turned and their ribs grew wet just for our sakes. Yes, I never told anyone. Mom wouldn't understand. She liked equitation, bowler hats, and jodhpurs. My grandfather dressed for the horse, she says. What does that mean? The horse isn't dressed. It's the most naked thing you ever saw, more than a dog or a cat or anything. Even the most broken down old nag has got its life. To put a bowler on it is filthy. Putting them through their paces, bloody horse shows, no one understands except cowboys. They do. I wish I was a cowboy. They're free. They just swing up, and then it's miles of grass. I bet all cowboys are orphans. I bet they are.
Mr. Strang to see you, Doctor.
Mr. Strang? Show him up, please.
No one ever says to cowboys, receive my meaning. They wouldn't dare, or God all the time. God sees you, Alan. God's got eyes everywhere. I'm not doing anymore. I hate this. You can whistle for any more. I've had it.
Scene 14. Frank Strang comes into the square, his hat in his hand. He's nervous and embarrassed.
Hello, Mr. Strang.
I was just passing. I hope it's not too late.
Of course not. I'm delighted to see you.
My wife doesn't know I'm here. I'd be grateful to you if you didn't enlighten her, if you receive my meaning.
Everything that happens in this room is confidential, Mr. Strang.
I hope so. I hope so.
Do you have something to tell me?
As a matter of fact, I have, yes.
Your wife told me about the photograph.
I know. It's not that. It's about that, but it's worse. I wanted to tell you the other night, but I couldn't in front of Dora. Maybe I should have. It might show her where all that stuff leads to. She drills into the boy behind my back.
What kind of thing is it?
Something I witnessed.
Where?
At home, about 18 months ago.
Go on.
It was late. I'd gone upstairs to fetch something. The boy had been in bed hours, or so I thought.
Go on.
As I came along the passage, I saw the door of his bedroom was ajar. I was sure he didn't know it was. From inside, I heard the sound of this chanting.
Chanting?
Like the Bible, one of those lists his mother was always reading to him.
What kind of list?
Oh, those begats. So-and-so begat, genealogy.
Can you remember what Alan's list sounded like?
Well, the sort of thing... I stood there absolutely astonished. The first word I heard was...
Prince?
Prince begat prince. That's sort of nonsense.
And Prance begat Prancus, and Prancus begat Flancus.
I looked through the window and he was standing in the moonlight in his pajamas, right in front of that big photograph.
The horse with the huge eyes.
Right.
Flancus begat Spancus, and Spancus begat Spuncus the Great, who lived 80 years.
It was all like that. I can't remember the exact names, of course. And suddenly he knelt down.
In front of the photograph?
Yes, right there at the foot of his bed.
And Leguus begat Nequus, and Nequus begat Flecquus, the king of spit, and Flecquus spoke out of his chinkle-chankle.
What?
I'm sure that was the word. I've never forgotten it. Chinkle-chankle.
And he said, behold, I give you Equus, my only begotten son.
Equus?
Yes, no doubt about that. He repeated that word several times. Equus, my only begotten son.
Equus.
Ek.
And then...
Yes? What?
He took a piece of string out of his pocket, made up into a noose, and put it in his mouth. And then with his other hand, he picked up a coat hanger, a wooden coat hanger, and
began to beat himself?
You see why I couldn't tell his mother? Religion! Religion's at the bottom of all this.
What did you do?
Nothing. I coughed and went back downstairs.
Did you ever speak to him about it later, even obliquely?
I can't speak of things like that, Doctor. It's not in my nature.
No, I see that.
But I thought you ought to know, so I came.
Yes, I'm very grateful to you. Thank you.
Well, that's it.
Is there anything else?
There is actually one thing.
What's that?
On the night that he did it, that awful thing in the stable,
Yes?
that very night he was out with a girl.
How'd you know that?
I just know.
Did he tell you?
I can't say anymore.
I don't quite understand.
Everything said in here is confidential, you said.
Absolutely.
Then ask him. Ask him about taking a girl out that very night he did it. Goodbye, Doctor.
Scene 15. Alan gets up and enters the square.
Alan! Come in. Sit down. What did you do last night?
Watched telly.
Any good?
All right.
Thanks for the tape. It was excellent.
I'm not making any more.
One thing I didn't quite understand, you began to say something about the horse on the beach talking to you.
That stupid horses don't talk.
So I believe.
I don't know what you mean.
Never mind. Tell me something else. Who introduced you to the stable to begin with?
Someone I met.
Where?
Bryson's.
The shop where you work?
Yes.
It's a funny place for you to be. Whose idea was that?
Dad.
I'd have thought he'd have wanted you to work with him.
I haven't the aptitude, and printing's a failing trade, if you receive my meaning.
I see. What did your mother think?
Shops are common.
And you?
I loved it.
Really?
Why not? You get to spend every minute with electrical things. It's fun.
Silco?
Of course, it might just drive you off your chump.
I want to buy a hot plate. I'm told Silco is a good make.
I think it is, madam.
Remington Ladies Shavers?
I'm not sure, madam.
Eveready batteries?
Hoover?
Westinghouse?
Gifco automatic toothbrushes?
I'll find out, sir.
A beauty floor?
Windowline?
Sorry.
I want a Philco transistor radio.
Sorry.
This isn't a Remington. I wanted a Remington.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hello.
Have you any blades for a clipping machine?
Clipping?
To clip horses. What's the matter?
You work at Dalton Stables. I've seen you.
I've seen you too, haven't I? You're the boy who always staring into the yard around lunchtime.
Me?
You're there most days.
Not me.
Of course it's you. Mr. Dalton was only saying the other day, who's that boy keeps staring in at the door? Are you looking for a job or something?
Is there one?
I don't know.
I can only do weekends.
That's when most people ride. We can always use extra hands. It'd mainly be mucking out.
I don't mind.
Can you ride?
No, I don't want to. Please.
Come on up Saturday. I'll introduce you to Mr. Dalton.
When was this? About a year ago?
I suppose.
And she did?
Yes.
Scene 16. Rich light falls on the square, an exultant humming from the chorus. Tramping is heard. 3 actors playing horses rise from their places. Together they unhooked 3 horses' masks from the ladders left and right, put them on with rigid timing, and walked with swaying horse motion into the square. Their metal hooves stamp on the wood. Their masks turn and toss high above their heads, as they will do sporadically throughout all horse scenes, making the steel gleam in the light. For a moment they seem to converge on the boy as he stands in the middle of the stable, but then they swiftly turn and take up positions as if tethered by the head, with their invisible rumps toward him, one by each bench. Alan is sunk into the glowing world of horses. Lost in wonder, he stares almost involuntarily to kneel on the floor in reverence, but is sharply interrupted by the cheery voice of Dalton coming into the stable, followed by Jill. The boy straightens up guiltily.
First thing to learn is drill. Learn it and keep to it. I want this place neat, dry, and clean at all times. After you have mucked out, Jill will show you some grooming. What we call strapping a horse.
I think Trooper's got a stone.
Yes? Let's see. Oh, you're right. See this? This V here. It's what's called a frog, sort of shock absorber. Once you pierce that, it takes ages to heal. So you want to watch for it. You clean it out with this. What we call a hoof pick. Mind how you go with it. Very sharp. It's very sharp. Use it like this. See? Huh? You will soon get the hang of it. Jill will look after you. What she doesn't know about the stables isn't worth knowing.
Oh, yes, I'm sure.
Careful how you go with that. The main rule is anything you don't know, ask. Never pretend you know something when you don't. Actually, the main rule is enjoy yourself. All right?
Yes, sir.
Good lad. See you later.
All right. Let's start on some grooming. Why don't we begin with him? He looks as if he needs it. This is Nugget. He's my favorite. He's as gentle as a baby, aren't you? But terribly fast if you want him to be. Now, this is the dandy, and we start with that. Then you move on to the body brush. This is the most important, and you use it with this curry comb. Now, you always groom the same way, from the ears downward. Don't be afraid to do it hard. The harder you do it, the more the horse loves it. Push it right through the coat, like this. Down towards the tail and right through the coat. See how he loves it? I'm giving you a lovely massage, boy, aren't I? You try. I'll keep it nice and easy. Never rush. Down towards the tail and right through the coat. That's it. And again, down towards the tail and right through the coat. Very good. Now you keep that up for 15 minutes and then do Old Trooper, will you? You've got a feel for it. I can tell. It'd be nice teaching you. See you later.
She leaves the square and resumes her place. Alan is left alone with the horses. They all stamp. He approaches Nugget again and touches the horse's shoulder. The mask turns sharply in his direction. The boy pauses, then moves his hand gently over the outline of the neck and back. The mask is reassured. It stares ahead, unmoving. Then Alan lifts his palm to his face and smells it deeply, closing his eyes. Dysart returns from his bench and begins to walk slowly upstage round the circle.
Is that good? Touching them? It must have been marvelous being near them at last, stroking them, making them fresh and glossy. Tell me, how about the girl? Did you like her?
All right.
Just all right? Was she friendly?
Yes.
or standoffish?
Yes.
Well, which?
What?
Which was she? Did you take her out? Come on now, tell me. Did you have a date with her?
What?
Tell me if you did.
Tell me!
What?
Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. On and on, sitting there, nosy Parker. That's all you are, bloody nosy Parker, just like Dad. On and bloody on. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Answer this, answer that. Never stop.
Scene 17. The lights brightened.
I'm sorry.
All right. It's my turn now. You tell me. Answer me.
We're not playing that game now.
We're playing what I say.
All right. What do you want to know?
Do you have dates?
I told you I'm married.
I know. Her name's Margaret. She's a dentist. You see, I found out. What made you go with her? Did you used to bite her hands when she did you in the chair?
It's not very funny.
Do you have girls behind her back?
No.
Then what? Do you fuck her?
That's enough now.
Come on, tell me, tell me, tell me.
I said that's enough now.
I bet you don't. I bet you never touch her. Come on, tell me. You've got no kids, have you? Is that because you don't fuck?
Go to your room. Go on. Quick march. Give me those cigarettes. Alan, give them to me. Now go. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The boy's on the run, so he gets defensive. What am I? Then. Wicked little bastard. He knew exactly what questions to try. He's actually marched himself around the hospital making inquiries about my wife. Wicked and, of course, perceptive. Ever since I made that crack about carving up children, he's been aware of me in an absolutely specific way. Of course, there's nothing novel in that. Advanced neurotics can be dazzling at that game. They aim unswervingly at your area of maximum vulnerability, which I suppose is a good way of, as good a way as any as describing Margaret.
He sits. Hester enters the square, and the lights grow warmer. Scene 18.
Now stop it.
Do I embarrass you?
I suspect you're about to.
My wife doesn't understand me, Your Honor.
Do you understand her?
No. Obviously, I never did.
I'm sorry. I've never liked to ask, but I've always imagined you weren't exactly compatible.
We were. It actually worked for a bit. I mean, for both of us. We worked for each other. She actually, from me, through a kind of briskness, a clear, redheaded, inaccessible briskness, which kept me keyed up for months. Mind you, if you're kinky for that northern hygienic as I am, you can't find anything much more compelling than the Scottish lady dentist.
It's you who are wicked, you know.
Not at all. She got exactly the same from me. Antiseptic proficiency. I was like that in those days. We suited each other admirably. Yes, in our wedding photo, Dr. and Dr. Mac Brisk. We were brisk in our wooing, brisk in our wedding, brisk in our disappointment. We turned from each other briskly and into our separate surgeries, and now there's damn all.
You have no children, have you?
No, we didn't go in for them. Instead, she sits behind our salmon pink glazed brick fireplace and knits things for orphans in a home she helps with. And I sit opposite, turning the pages of art books on ancient Greece. Occasionally, I still trail a faint scent of my enthusiasm across her path. I pass her a picture of the sacred acrobats of Crete leaping through the horns of running bulls, and she'll say, "Ah, Martin, what an absurd thing to be doing. The Highland Games, now there's normal sport." Or she'll observe just after I've told her a story from the Iliad, You know, when you come to think of it, Agamemnon and that lot were nothing but a bunch of ruffians from Glasgow, only with fancy names. Get the picture. She's turned into a shrink, the familiar domestic monster, Margaret Dyser. The shrink.
That's cruel, Martin.
Yes. Do you know what it's like for two people to live in the same house as if they were in different parts of the world? Mentally, she's always in some drizzly chapel of her own inheriting, and I'm in some Doric temple, clouds tearing through pillars, eagles bearing prophecies out of the sky. She finds all of that repulsive. All my wife has ever taken from the Mediterranean, from that whole vast intuitive culture, are 4 bottles of Chianti to make into lamps and 2 China condiment donkeys labeled Sally and Peppy. I wish there was one person in my life I could show. One instinctive, absolutely unbrisk person I could take to Greece and stand in front of us certain shrines and sacred streams and say, look, life is only comprehensible through 1,000 local gods. And not just the old dead ones with names like Zeus, no, but living geniuses of place and person. And not just Greece, but modern England, spirits of certain trees, certain curves of brick walls, certain fish and chip shops, if you like, and slate roofs, just as of certain frowns and people and slouches. I'd say to them, worship as many as you can see, and more will appear. If I had a son, I bet you he'd come out exactly like his mother. Utterly worshipless. Would you like a drink?
No, thanks. Actually, I've got to be going.
Really?
Really, I've got an Everest of papers to get through before bed.
You never stop, do you?
Do you?
This boy with his stare, he's trying to save himself from me.
I'd say so.
What am I trying to do to him?
Restore him, surely.
To what?
A normal life.
Normal?
It still means something.
Does it?
Of course.
You mean a normal boy has 1 head? A normal head has 2 ears?
No, I don't.
Then what else?
Stop it.
No, what? Tell me.
I won't be put on the stand like this, Martin. You're really disgraceful. You know what I mean by a normal smile in a child's eyes, and one that isn't, even if I can't exactly define it. Don't you?
Yes.
Then we have a duty to that, surely. Both of us.
Touche. I'll talk to you.
Dismissed?
You had to go.
I do. Thank you for what you're doing. You're going through a rotten patch at the moment. I'm sorry. I suppose one of the few things one can do is simply hold on to priorities.
Like what?
Oh, children before grown-ups. Things like that.
You're really quite splendid.
Famous for it. Good night.
Normal. Normal.
Scene 19. Alan rises and enters the square. He is subdued.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm sorry about our row yesterday.
It was stupid.
It was.
What I said, I mean.
How are you sleeping? You're not feeling well, are you?
All right.
Would you like to play a game? Could make you feel better.
What kind?
It's called Blink. You have to fix your eyes on something, say that little stain over there on the wall, and I tap this pin on the desk. The first time I tap it, you close your eyes. The next time you open them, and so on. Close, open, till I say stop.
How can that make you feel better?
It relaxes you. You'll feel as though you're talking to me in your sleep.
It's stupid.
You don't have to do it if you don't want to.
I didn't say I didn't want to.
Well,
I don't mind.
good. Sit down and start watching that stain. Put your hands by your sides and open the fingers wide. The thing is to feel comfortable and relax. Absolutely. Are you looking at the stain?
Yes.
Right. Now try and keep your mind as blank as possible.
That's not difficult.
Shh, stop talking. On the first tap, close. On the second, open. Are you ready?
Alan nods. Dicer taps his pen on the wooden rail. Alan shuts his eyes. Dicer taps again. Alan opens them. The taps are evenly spaced. After four of them, the sound cuts out and is replaced by a faint metallic sound on tape. Dicer talks through this to the boy, to the audience. The light dims around him while the boy sits staring at the wall, opening and shutting his eyes.
The normal is the good smile in a child's eyes, all right? It is also the dead stare in a million adults. It both sustains and kills like a god. It is the ordinary made beautiful. It is also the average made lethal. The normal is the indispensable murderous god of health, and I am his priest. My tools are very delicate. My compassion is honest. I have honestly assisted children in this room. I have talked away terrors and I have relieved many agonies. But also, beyond question, I have cut from them parts of individuality repugnant to this God in both his aspects, parts sacred to rarer and more wonderful gods. And at what length? Sacrifices to Zeus took at the most, surely 60 seconds each. Sacrifices to the normal can take as long as 60 months.
The natural sound of the pencil resumes. Light changes back to Alan.
Now your eyes are feeling heavy. You want to sleep, don't you? You want a long, deep sleep. Have it. Your head is heavy, very heavy. Your shoulders are heavy. Sleep.
The pencil stops. Alan's eyes remain shut and his head sunk in his chest.
Can you hear me?
Uh,
You can speak normally. Say yes if you can.
yes.
Good boy. Now, raise your head and open your eyes. Now, Alan, you're going to answer questions I'm going to ask you. Do you understand?
Yes.
And when you wake up, you're going to remember everything you tell me, all right?
Yes.
Good. Now, I want you to think back in time. You're on that beach you told me about. The tide has gone out and you're making sand castles. Above you, staring down at you, is that great horse's head and the cream dropping from it. Can you see that?
Yes.
You ask him a question. Does the chain hurt?
Yes.
Did you ask him loud?
No.
And what does the horse say back?
Yes.
Then what do you say?
I'll take it out for you.
And he says?
It never comes out. They have me in chains.
Like Jesus?
Yes.
Only his name isn't Jesus, is it?
No.
What is it?
No one knows but him and me.
You can tell me, Alan. Name him.
Equus.
Thank you. Does he live in all horses or just some?
All.
Good boy. Now, you leave the beach. You're in your bedroom at home. You're 12 years old. You're in front of the picture. You're looking at Equus from the foot of your bed. Would you like to kneel down?
Yes.
Go on then. Now tell me, why is Equus in chains?
For the sins of the world.
What does he say to you?
I see you. I will save you.
How?
Bear you away. Two shall be done.
Horse and rider shall be one beast?
One person.
Go on.
And my chinkle-chankle shall be in thy hand.
Chinkle-chankle? That's his mouth chain?
Yes.
Good. You can get up. Come on. Now, think of the stable. What's in the stable? His temple, his holy of holies?
Yes.
Where you wash him, where you tend him and brush him with many brushes?
Yes.
And there he spoke to you, didn't he? He looked at you with his gentle eyes and spake unto you?
Yes.
What did he say? Ride me, mount me, and ride me forth at night?
Yes.
And you obeyed?
Yes.
How did you learn? By watching others?
Yes.
Must have been difficult. You bounced about?
Yes.
But he showed you, didn't he? Equus showed you the way.
No.
He didn't?
He showed me nothing. He's a mean bugger. Ride or fall. That's straw law.
Straw law?
He was born in the straw, and this is his law.
But you managed? You mastered him?
Had to.
And then you rode in secret.
Yes.
How often?
Every 3 weeks, more people would notice.
On a particular horse?
No.
But how did you get into the stable?
Stole a key. Had it copied at Bryson's.
Clever boy. Then you slip out of the house?
Midnight on the stroke.
How far is the stable?
2 miles.
Let's do it. Let's go riding. Now. You are there now in front of the stable door. That key's in your hand. Go and open it.
Scene 20. Alan moves upstage and mimes opening the door. Soft light on the circle. Humming from the chorus. The Equus noise. The horse actors enter, raise their masks, and put them on all together. They stand around the circle, nugget in the mouth of the tunnel.
Quietly as possible. Dalton may still be awake. Shh. Quietly. Good. Now go in.
Alan steps secretly out of the square through the central opening into the circle, now glowing with a warm light. He looks about him. The horses stamp uneasily, their masks turned towards him.
You're on the inside now. All the horses are staring at you. Can you see them?
Yes.
Which one are you going to take?
Nugget.
What color is Nugget?
Chestnut.
What do you do first thing?
Put on his sandals.
Sandals?
Sandals of majesty, made of sack. Tie them round his hooves.
All 4 hooves?
Yes.
Then?
Chinkle, chankle. He doesn't like it so late, but he takes it for my sake. He bends for me. He stretches forth his neck to it.
Nugget bends his head down. Alan first ritually puts the bit into his own mouth, then crosses and transfers it into Nugget's. He reaches up and buckles the bridle. Then he leads him by the invisible reins across the front of the stage and up around the left side of the circle. Nugget follows obediently.
Buckle and lead out.
No saddle?
Never.
Go on.
Walks down the path behind. He's quiet. Always is. This bit, meek and milk legs, at least till the field. Then there's trouble.
What kind?
Won't go in.
Why not?
It's his place of ha-ha.
What?
Ha ha!
Make him go into it.
Come on! Come on!
Drags the horse into the square as Dysart steps out of it. Scene 21. Nugget comes to a halt, staring diagonally down what is now the field. The Equus noise dies away. The boy looks about him.
Is it a big field?
Huge.
What's it like?
Full of mist. Nettles on your feet. Oh!
You take your shoes off?
Everything.
All your clothes?
Yes!
He mimes them dressing completely in front of the horse. When he is finished and obviously quite naked, he throws out his arms and shows himself fully to his god, bowing his head before Nugget.
Where do you leave them?
Tree hole near the gate. No one could find them.
He walks upstage and crouches by the bench, stuffing the invisible clothes beneath it. Dysart sits on the left bench, downstage beyond the circle.
How does it feel now?
Burns.
Burns?
The mist.
Go on. Now what?
The man bit.
Man bit?
The stick for my mouth.
Your mouth.
To bite on.
Why? What for?
So it won't happen too quick.
Is it always the same stick?
Of course. Sacred stick. Keep it in the hole. The ark of the man bit.
And now what? What do you do now?
Touch him.
Where?
All over. Everywhere. Belly. Ribs. His ribs are of ivory of great value. His flank is cool. His nostrils open for me. His eyes shine. I can see in the dark. Eyes.
Go on. Then?
Give sugar.
A lump of sugar.
His last supper.
Last before what?
Ha! Ha!
Do you say anything when you give it to him?
Take my sins, eat them for my sake. He always does. And then he's ready.
You can get up on him now.
Yes, yes.
Do it then. Mount him.
Equus. Equus. Equus.
Pulls the pole upright. The actor playing Nugget leaps forward and grasps it. All the other horses lean forward also, all around the circle, so that each places a hand on the rail. Alan rises and walks right back up stage to the corner left.
Take me.
He runs and jumps high on Nugget's back, crying out.
Oh, oh,
What is it?
hurts.
Hurts?
Knives in his skin, little knives all inside my legs. Stay, Equus. No one said go. That's it. He's good. Equus, the god slave, faithful and true. Into my hands he commends himself, naked in his shankle.
He punches Nugget.
Stop it. Stop. He wants to go so badly.
Go then. Leave me behind. Right away now, Alan. Now. Now you are alone.
He stiffens his body and raises his hand.
Equus, son of Flequus, son of Nequus, walk.
A hum from the chorus. Very slowly, the horses standing on the circle begin to turn the square by gently pushing the wooden rail. Alan and his mount start to revolve. The effect immediately is of a statue being slowly turned round on a plinth. During the ride, however, the speed increases and the light decreases until it is only a fierce spotlight on horse and rider, with the overspilled glinting and the other masks leaning in toward them.
Here we go. The king rides out on Equus, mightiest of horses. Only I can ride him. He lets me turn him this way and that. His neck comes out of my body. He lifts in the dark. Equus, my god slave. Now the king commands you. Tonight we ride against them all.
Who's all?
My foes and his.
Who are your foes?
The hosts of Hoover, the host of Philco, the host of Remington and all its tribe.
Who are his foes?
the host of Bola, the host of Jodhpur, all those who show him off for their vanity, tie rosettes to his head for their vanity. Come on, Equus, let's get them. Trot. Steady, 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 steady. Cowboys are watching. Take off their Stetsons. They know who we are. They're admiring us, bowing low unto us. Come on now, show them. Canter, canter. And Equus the mighty rose against all. His enemies scatter, his enemies fall. Turn, trample them, trample them, trample them, trample them. Turn, turn, turn. Whee! Wow, wonderful. I'm stiff, stiff in the wind, my mane stiff in the wind, my flanks, my hooves, mane on my legs, on my flanks like whips. Raw, raw, I'm raw, raw. Feel me on you, on you, on you, on you. I want to be in you. I want to be you forever and ever, Equus. I love you. Now bear me away. Make us one person. One person, one person, one person, one person. Ha 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 ha.
He twists like a flame. Silence. The turning square comes to a stop in the same position it occupied at the opening of the act. Slowly the boy drops off the horse's back to the ground. He lowers his head and kisses Nugget's hoof. Finally he flings back his head and cries up to him.
Amen.
Nugget snorts once. Blackout. Act 2. Scene 22. Darkness. Lights come slowly up on Alan, kneeling in the night at the hooves of Nugget. Slowly he gets up, climbing lovingly up the body of the horse until he can't stand and kiss it. Dysart sits on the downstage bench where he began Act 1.
With one particular horse called Nugget, he embraces. He showed me how he stands with it afterwards in the night, one hand on its chest, one on its neck, like a frozen tango dancer inhaling its cold, sweet breath. Have you noticed, he said, about horses, how they'll stand one hoof on its end like those girls in the ballet?
Alan leads Nugget out of the square. Dysart rises. The horse walks away up the tunnel and disappears. The boy comes downstage and sits on the bench. Dysart has vacated. Dysart crosses downstage and moves slowly up around the circle until he reaches the central entrance of the square.
Now he's gone off to rest, leaving me alone with Equus. I can hear the creature's voice. It's calling me out of the black cave of the psyche. I shove in my dim little torch, and there he stands, waiting for me. He raises his matted head. He opens his great square teeth, and he says, "Why? Why me? Why ultimately me? Do you really imagine you can account for me? Totally, infallibly, inevitably account for me?" Poor Dr. Dysart. Of course, I've stared at such images before, or been stared at by them, whichever way you look at it. And weirdly often now with me, the feeling is that they are staring at us, that in some quite palpable way they precede us. Meaningless but unsettling. In either case, this particular one, this huge, implacable head, is the most alarming yet. It asks questions I've avoided all my professional life. A child is born into a world of phenomena, all equal in their power to enslave. It sniffs, it sucks, it strokes its eyes over the whole uncountable range. Suddenly, one strikes. Why? Moments snap together like magnets, forging a chain of shackles. Why? I can trace them. I can even, with time, pull them apart again. But why at the start they were ever magnetized at all? Just those particular moments of experience and no others, I don't know. And nor does anybody else. Yet, if I don't know. If I can never know that, what am I doing here? I don't mean clinically doing or socially doing. I mean fundamentally. These whys, these questions are fundamental, yet they have no place in a consulting room. So then do I? This is the feeling more and more. Displacement, relentless displacement. Account for me, says staring Equus. First, account for me. This is more than professional menopause.
Doctor, there's a terrible scene with the Strang boy. His mother came to visit him, and I gave her the tray to take in. He threw it at her. She's saying the most dreadful things.
Alan springs up, Dora springs up. They face each other across the bottom of the stage. It's observable that at the start of this act, Frank is not sitting beside his wife on their bench. It is hopefully not observable that he is placed among the audience in the gloom by the central tunnel.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Is she still there?
Yes.
Don't you look at me like that. I'm not a doctor, you know, who'll take anything. Don't you dare give me that stare, young man.
Mrs. Strang.
I know your stares. They don't work on me.
Leave this room.
What did you say?
I tell you to leave here at once.
Goodbye, Alan.
She walks past her son and around the square. Dicer follows her. Both are very upset. Alan returns to his bench and nurse to her face. Scene 23. Lights up on the square.
I must ask you never to come here again.
You think I want to? Do you think I want to?
Mrs. Strang, what on earth has gotten into you? Can't you see the boy is highly distressed?
Really?
Of course, he's at a most delicate stage of treatment. He's totally exposed, ashamed, everything you can imagine.
And me? What about me? What do you think I am? I'm a parent, of course, so it doesn't count. That's a dirty word in here, isn't it? Parent.
You know that's not true.
Oh, I know, all right. I've heard it all my life. It's our fault. Whatever happens, we did it. Alan's just a little victim. He's really done nothing at all. What do you have to do in this world to get any sympathy? Blind animals.
Sit down, Mrs. Strang.
Look, doctor, you don't have to live with this. Alan is one patient to you, one out of many. He's my son. I lie awake every night thinking about it. Frank lies there beside me. I can hear him. Neither of us sleeps all night. You come to us and say, who forbids television? Who does what behind whose back? As if criminals have done nothing wrong. We loved Alan. We gave him the best love we could. All right, we quarrel sometimes. All parents quarrel. We always make it up. My husband is a good man. He's an upright man, religion or no. He cares for his home, for the world, and for his boy. Alan had love and care and treats and as much fun as any boy in the world. I know about loveless homes. I was a teacher. Our home wasn't loveless. I know about privacy too, not invading a child's privacy. All right, Frank may be at fault there. He digs into it too much, but nothing in excess. He's not a bully. No, doctor, whatever's happened has happened because of Alan. Alan is himself. Every soul is itself. If you added up everything we ever did to him from his first day on earth to this, you wouldn't find why he did this terrible thing, because that's him, not just all of our things added up. Do you understand what I'm saying? I want you to understand, because I lie awake and awake thinking it out, and I want you to know that I deny it absolutely what he's doing now, staring at me, attacking me for what he's done, for what he is. You've got your words, and I've got mine. You call it a complex, I suppose, and I've got mine. But if you knew God, doctor, you would know about the devil. You'd know the devil isn't made by what Mummy says, Daddy says. The devil's there. It's an old-fashioned word, but a true thing. I'll go. What I did in there was inexcusable. I only know he was my little Alan. And then the devil came.
He leaves the square, resumes her place. Dysart watches her go, then leaves himself by the opposite entrance and approaches Alan. Scene 24. Seated on his bench, the boy glares at him.
I thought you liked your mother. She doesn't know anything, you know. I haven't told her what you told me. You do know that, don't you?
It was lies anyway.
What?
You and your pen, just a con trick, that's all.
What do you mean?
Made me say a lot of lies.
Did it? Like what?
All of it, everything I said, lots of lies.
I see.
You ought to be locked up, your bloody tricks.
I thought you liked tricks.
It'll be the drug next, I know.
What drug?
I've heard, I'm not ignorant. I know what you go, get up in here, shove needles in people, pump them full of truth drug so they can't help saying things. That's next, isn't it?
Alan, do you know why you're here?
So you can give me truth drugs.
Scene 25. Esther comes in simultaneously from the other side.
He actually thinks they exist. And of course he wants one.
It doesn't sound like that to me.
Of course he does. Why mention them otherwise? He wants a way to speak, to finally tell me what happened in that stable. Tape's too isolated, and hypnosis is a trick. At least that's the pretense.
Does he still say that today?
I haven't seen him. I canceled his appointment this morning and let him stew in his own anxiety. Now I'm almost tempted to play a real trick on him.
Like what?
The old placebo.
You mean a harmless pill?
Full of alleged truth drug, probably an aspirin.
But he denied afterwards. Same thing all over.
No, because he's ready to abreact.
Abreact?
Live it all again. He won't be able to deny it after that because he'll have shown me. Not just told me, but acted it out in front of me.
Can you get him to do that?
I think so. He's nearly done it already. Under all that glowering, he trusts me. You realize that?
I'm sure he does.
Poor bloody fool.
Don't start that again.
Can you think of anything worse one can do to anyone than take away their worship?
Worship?
Yes, that word again.
Aren't you being a little extreme?
Extremity is the point.
Worship isn't destructive, Martin. I know that.
I don't. I only know it's the core of his life. What else has he got? Think about him. Can hardly read. Knows no physics or engineering to make the world real for him. No paintings to show him how others have enjoyed it. No music except television jingles. No history except tales from a desperate mother. No friends. Not one kid to give him a joke or make him know himself more moderately. He's a modern citizen for whom society doesn't exist. He lives 1 hour every 3 weeks, howling in a mist, and after the service kneels to a slave who stands over him obviously and unthrowably his master. With my body I worship, I thee worship. Many men have less vital with their wives.
All the same, they don't usually blind their wives, do they?
Oh, come on.
Well, do they?
You mean he's dangerous, a violent, dangerous madman who's going to run around the country doing it again and again?
I mean, he's in pain, Martin. He's been in pain for most of his life. That much is obvious even to me.
Possibly.
Possibly. That cut-off little figure you just described must have been in pain for years.
Possibly.
And you can take it away.
Still possible.
And that's all you need to know. That should be enough for you.
No.
Why not?
Because it's his.
I don't understand.
His pain. His own. He made it. Look, to go through life and call it yours, your life, you first have to get your own pain. pain that's unique to you. You can't just dip into the common bin and say, that's enough. He's done that. All right, he's sick. He's full of misery and fear. He was dangerous and could be again, though I doubt it. But that boy has known a passion more ferocious than I have felt in any second of my life. And let me tell you something. I envy it.
Can't.
Don't you see? That's the accusation. That's what his stare has been saying to me all the time. At least I galloped. When did you? I'm jealous, Hester. Jealous of Alan Strang.
That's absurd.
Is it? I go on about my wife, that smug woman by the fire. Have you thought of the fellow on the other side of it, the finicky, critical husband looking through his art books on mythical Greece? What worship has he ever known? Real worship. Without worship, you shrink. It's as brutal as that. I shrank my own life. No one can do it for you. I settled for being pallid and provincial out of my own eternal timidity. The old story of bluster and do bugger all. I imply that we can't have children. But actually, it's only me. I had myself tested behind her back. The lowest sperm count you could find. And I never told her. That's all I need. Her sympathy mixed with resentment. I tell everyone, Margaret's the Puritan, I'm the pagan. Some pagan. Such wild returns I make to the womb of civilization. 3 weeks a year in the Mediterranean, every bed booked in advance, every meal paid for by vouchers, cautious jaunts and hired fiats, suitcase crammed with cow pectate. Such a fantastic surrender to the primitive, and I use that word endlessly, primitive. Oh, the primitive world, I say. What instinctive truths were lost with it. While I sit there baiting a poor, unimaginative woman with the word that freaky boy tries to conjure, that freaky boy tries to conjure the reality. I sit looking at pages of centaurs trampling the soil of Argos, and outside my window, he is trying to become one in a Hampshire field. I watched that woman knitting night after night. A woman I haven't kissed in 6 years. And he stands in the dark for an hour, sucking the sweat off his god's hairy cheek. Then in the morning, I put away my books on the cultural shelf, close up the Kodachrome snaps of Mount Olympus, touch my reproduction statue of Dionysus for luck, go off to the hospital to treat him for insanity. And do you see?
The boy's in pain, Martin. That's all I see. In the end.
He looks at her. She rises and crosses away from him. Alan gets up from his bench and stealthily places an envelope in the left-hand entrance of the square, then goes back and sits with his back to the audience as if watching television.
What else can I say? I'm not just being Mrs. Macbrisk.
What?
You are still... I don't know.
Indulgent? It's getting to be rather an easy word, isn't it?
Look, I understand, I do understand. You haven't made your own pain. You've still made other things. Your own thoughts and skill. Your own way of connecting. I've watched you do it. Year after year. Skill absolutely yours. What you just said. Unique to you. Don't tell me now that work's unworthy. You're just a butcher. You're just provincial. All that stuff. It's hateful. All right. You've never galloped. Too bad. Let me tell you. If I have to choose between the boys galloping and your sheer training, I'll take the training every time. And so will he at this moment. That stare of his isn't accusing you, my dear. Can't you see? It's simply demanding.
What?
Just that. Your power to pull him out of the nightmare he's galloped himself into.
I'll talk to you.
Good night.
She goes. Dysart looks after her, then makes a sudden gesture of frustration.
Yes, 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 yes. What of it? Whose power pulls me out of mine?
Scene 26. Dysart becomes aware of the letter lying on the floor. He picks it up, opens it, and reads it.
It is all true what I said after you tapped the pen. I'm sorry if I said different post-scriptum. I know why I'm here.
Nurse!
Yes, Doctor?
Good evening.
You're on late tonight.
Yes, tell me, is the strain boy in bed yet?
Oh, no, Doctor. He's bound to be upstairs looking at the television. He always watches to the last possible moment. He doesn't like going to his room at all.
You mean he's still having nightmares?
He had a bad one last night.
Would you ask him to come down here, please?
Now?
I'd like a word with him.
Very good, Doctor.
If he's not back in his room by lights out, tell night nurse not to worry. I'll see he gets back to bed all right. And would you phone my home and tell my wife I may be in late?
Yes, Doctor.
Ask him to come straight away, please.
Nurse goes to the bench, taps Alan on the shoulder, whispers her message in his ear, and returns to her place. Excitedly, Dysart produces a bottle of pills from his pocket, looks at it, and replaces it. Alan stands up and pauses for a second, then steps into the square. Scene 27. He stands in the doorway, depressed.
Hello.
Hello.
I got your letter. Thank you. Also the postscriptum.
That's the right word. My mum told me. It's Latin for after writing.
How are you feeling?
All right.
I'm sorry I didn't see you today.
You were fed up with me.
Yes. Can I make it up to you now?
What do you mean?
I thought we'd have a session.
Now?
Yes! At dead of night. Better than going to sleep, isn't it? Now, Alan, look, everything I say has a trick or a catch. Everything I do is a trick or a catch. That's all I know to do. But they work. And you know that. Trust me.
You got another trick then?
Yes.
A truth drug?
If you like.
What's it do?
Make it easier for you to talk.
Like you can't help yourself?
That's right. Like you have to speak the truth at all costs, and all of it.
Comes in a needle, doesn't it?
No.
Where is it?
In here.
Let's see.
Here.
That's really it?
It is. You want to try it?
No,
I think you do.
I don't. Not at all.
Afterwards, you'd sleep. You'd have no bad dreams all night, probably many nights from then on.
How long does it take to work?
It's instant, like coffee.
It isn't.
I promise you. Well,
Can I have a cigarette?
pill first. You want some water?
No.
And you can chase it down with this. Sit down.
What happens now?
We wait for it to work.
What'll I feel first?
Nothing much. After a minute, about 100 green snakes should come out of that cupboard singing the Hallelujah chorus.
I'm serious.
You'll feel nothing. Nothing's going to happen now but what you want to happen. You're not going to say anything to me but what you want to say. Just relax. Lie back and finish your fag. Good boy.
I bet this room's heard some funny things.
It certainly has.
I like it.
This room?
Don't you?
Well, there's not much to like, is there?
How long am I going to be in here?
It's hard to say. I quite see you want to leave.
No.
You don't?
Where would I go?
Home? Actually, I'd like to leave this room and never see it again in my life.
Why?
I've been in it too long.
Where would you go?
Somewhere.
Secret.
Yes. There's a sea. A great sea I love. It's where the gods used to go to bathe.
What gods?
The old ones, before they died.
Gods don't die.
Yes, they do. There's a village I spent one night in where I'd like to live. It's all white.
How would you, Nosy Parker, though? You wouldn't have a room for it anymore.
I wouldn't mind. I don't actually enjoy being a nosy Parker, you know.
Then why do it?
Because you're unhappy.
So are you? I didn't mean that.
Didn't you?
Here, is that how it works? Things just slip out, not feeling anything?
That's right.
But it's so quick.
I told you it's instant.
It's wicked, isn't it? I mean, you can say anything under it.
Yes.
Ask me a question.
Tell me about Jill.
There's nothing to tell.
Nothing?
No.
Well, for example, is she pretty? You've never described her.
She's all right.
What color hair?
Don't know.
Is it long or short?
Don't know.
You must know that.
I don't remember. I don't.
Lie back. Now listen. You have to do this. And now. You are going to tell me everything that happened with this girl, and not just tell me. Show me. Act it out if you like. Even more than you did when I tapped the pencil. I want you to feel free to do absolutely anything in this room. The pill will help you. I will help you. Now, where does she live?
Near the stables, about a mile.
It's called the China Party. When Daddy disappeared, she was left without a bean. She had to earn her own living. I must say she did jolly well, considering she was never trained in business.
What do you mean, disappeared?
He ran off. No one ever saw him again.
Just left a note on her dressing table saying, "Sorry, I've had it." Just like that. She never got over it. Turned her right off men. All my dates have to be sort of secret. I mean, she knows about them, but I can't ever bring anyone back home. She's so rude to them.
She was always looking.
At you?
Saying stupid things.
You've got super eyes.
Anyway, she was the one who had them.
There was an article in the paper last week saying what points about boys fascinate girls. They said #1 is bottoms. I think it's eyes every time. They fascinate you too, don't they?
Me?
Or is it only horses' eyes?
What do you mean?
I saw you staring into Nugget's eyes yesterday for ages. I spied on you through the door.
There must have been something in it.
You're a real man of mystery, aren't you?
Sometimes it was like she knew.
Did she ever hint?
Of course not.
I love horses' eyes. The way you can see yourself in them. Do you find them sexy?
What?
Horses!
Don't be a daft.
Girls do. I mean, they go through a period where they pat them and kiss them a lot. I know I did. I suppose it's just a substitute, really.
That kind of thing all the time until one night.
Yes? What?
She did it. Not me. It was her idea, the whole thing. She got me into it.
What are you saying? One night? Go on from there.
Saturday night, we were just closing up.
How would you like to take me out?
What?
Why?
Because, well, we went into the cinema.
Scene 29. A burst of rock music instantly fading down. Lights darken. Alan enters in the square. Jill rises, and together they grope their way to the downstage bench, as if in a dark auditorium.
The whole place was full of men. Jill was the only girl. We sat down, and the film came on. It was daft. Nothing happened for ages. There was this girl, Britta, who was 16. She went to stay in this house where there was an older boy. He kept giving her looks, but she ignored him completely. In the end, she took a shower. She went to the bathroom and took off all her clothes, the lot, very slowly. What she didn't know was that the boy was looking through the door all the time. It was fantastic. The water fell on her breasts, bouncing down her.
Frank steps into the square furtively from the back, hat in hand, and stands looking about for a place.
Was that the first time you'd seen a girl naked?
Yes. You couldn't see everything, though. All around me, they were all looking, all old men staring up like they were in a church, like they were a sort of congregation. And then... God!
Why?
Because... Well, we went into the cinema.
Scene 29. A burst of rock music instantly... What?
The whole place was full of men. Jill was the only girl. We sat down and the film came on. It was daft. Nothing happened for ages. There was this girl, Britta, who was 16. She went to stay in this house where there was an older boy. He kept giving her looks, but she ignored him completely. In the end, she took a shower. She went into the bathroom and she took off all of her clothes, the lot, very slowly. What she didn't know was that the boy was looking through the door all the time. It was fantastic. The water fell on her breasts, bouncing down her.
Was that the first time you'd seen a girl naked?
Yes. You couldn't see everything, though. All around me, they were all looking, all the men staring up like they were in a church, like they were sort of a congregation. And then...
Alan!
God!
What is it?
Dad!
Where?
At the back, he saw me.
You're sure?
Yes.
Alan?
Oh, God.
Alan, you can hear me. Don't pretend.
Shh.
Do I have to come and fetch you out? Do I? Do I, Alan?
Oh, fuck.
You went?
What else could I do? He kept shouting. Everyone was saying, shut up.
They go out right to the group of patrons, who rise protesting as they pass, quickly replace the benches, and leave the square. Dysart enters. Scene 30. Light brightens from the cinema, but remains cold. A street at night. The three walk around the circle downstage in a line. Frank leading, wearing his hat. He halts in the middle of the left rail and stands staring straight ahead of him. Rigid with embarrassment, Alan is very agitated.
We went into the street, all three of us. It was weird. We just stood there by the bus stop like we were three people in a queue, and we didn't know each other. That was all white and sweaty. He didn't look at us at all. It must have gone on for about 5 minutes. I tried to speak. I said, I've never been there before. Honest, never. He didn't seem to hear. Jill tried.
It's true, Mr. Strang. It wasn't Alan's idea to go there. It was mine.
He just went on staring straight ahead. It was awful.
I'm not shocked by films like that. I think they're just silly.
The bus wouldn't come. We just stood and stood. Then suddenly, he spoke.
I'd like you to know something, both of you. I came here tonight to see the manager. He asked me to call on him for business purposes. I happen to be a printer. Miss, a picture house needs posters. That's entirely why I'm here, to discuss posters. And while I was waiting, I happened to glance in, that's all. I can only say I'm going to complain to the council. I had no idea they showed films like this. I'm certainly going to refuse my services.
Yes, of course.
As long as that's understood.
Then the bus came along.
Come along now, Alan.
No.
No fuss, please. Say goodnight to the young lady.
No. I'm stopping here. I've got to see her home. It's proper.
Very well. I'll see you when you choose to return. Very well then. Yes.
And he got on, and we didn't. He sat down and looked at me through the glass, and I saw
What?
his face. It was scared.
Of you?
It was terrible. We had to walk home 4 miles. I got the shakes.
You were scared too?
It was like a hole had been drilled in my tummy, a hole right here, and the air was getting in.
Starts to walk upstage round the circle. Scene 31. The girl stays still. This whole scene must go urgently.
Alan?
People kept turning round in the street to look.
Alan!
I kept seeing him just as he drove off, scared of me, and me scared of him. I kept thinking all those airs he put on, receiving my meaning, improve your mind. All those nights he said he'd be in late, keep my supper those nights, keep myself a hot door. Your poor father, he worked so hard. Bugger, old bugger, filthy old bugger.
Hey, wait for me! What are you thinking about?
Nothing.
Mind your own beeswax?
And suddenly she began to laugh.
I'm sorry, but it's pretty funny when you think of it.
What?
Catching him like that. I mean, it's terrible, but it's very funny.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I know you're upset, but it's not the end of the world, is it? I mean, what was he doing? Only what we were. Watching a silly film. It's a case of like father like son, I'd say. I mean, when that girl was taking a shower, you were pretty interested, weren't you? We keep saying old people are square. Then when they suddenly aren't, we don't like it.
What did you think about that?
I don't know. I kept looking at all the people in the street. They were mostly men coming out of pubs. I suddenly thought, they all do it, all of them? They're not just dads, they're people with pricks. And Dad, he's not just Dad either. He's a man with a prick too, you know? I'd never thought about it. We went into the country. We kept walking. I just thought about Dad and how he was nothing special, just a poor old sod on his own. Poor old sod.
That's right.
I mean, what else has he got? He's got Mum, of course, but, well, she's...
She doesn't give him anything.
That's right. I bet you she doesn't give him anything. That's right. That's really right. She's like, ladies and gentlemen, do you understand what I mean?
Ladies and gentlemen aren't naked?
That's right. Never. That would be disgusting. She'd have to put bowler hats on them.
Was that the first time you ever thought anything like that about your mother? I mean, that she was unfair to your dad?
Absolutely.
How did you feel?
Sorry. I mean, for him, poor old sod, that's what I felt. He's just like me. He hates ladies and gents just like me. Posh things and la-di-da. He goes off by himself at night and does his own secret thing, which no one will know about just like me. There's no difference. He's just the same as me, just the same. Christ!
Go on.
I can't.
Of course you can. You're doing wonderfully.
No, please don't make me.
Don't think. Just answer. You were happy at that second. You were happy, weren't you? When you realized about your dad, how lots of people have secrets, not just you.
Yes, yes.
You felt sort of free, didn't you? I mean, free to do anything.
Yes.
What was she doing?
Holding my hand.
And was that good?
Oh, yes.
Remember what you thought, as if it's happening to you now, this very moment. What's in your head?
Her eyes. She's the one with the eyes. I keep looking at them because I really want
To look at her breasts?
Yes.
Like in the film?
Yes. Then she starts to scratch my hand.
You're really very nice, you know that?
Moving her nails on the back, her face so warm, her eyes.
You want her very much?
Yes.
I love your eyes. Let's go.
Where?
I know a place. It's right near here.
Where?
Surprise. Come on. Come on.
She runs ahead, I follow, and then...
What?
I see what she means.
What? Where are you? Where is she taking you?
The stables.
Of course.
Scene 32. Chorus makes a warning. The horses, actors enter and ceremonially put on their masks. First raising them high above their heads, Nugget stands in the central tunnel.
No.
Where else? They're perfect.
No.
Or do you want to go home now and face your dad?
No.
Then come on.
Why not your place?
I can't. Mother doesn't like me bringing back boys. I told you. Anyway, the barn's better.
No.
Oh, that's straw. It's cozy.
No.
Why not?
Them.
Dalton will be in bed. What's the matter? Don't you want to?
Oh, yes.
So?
Them.
Who?
Horses.
Horses? You're really dotty, aren't you? What do you mean? Oh, you're freezing. Let's get into the straw. You'll be warm there.
No.
What on earth's the matter with you? Look, if the sight of horses offends you, my lord, we can just shut the door. You won't have to see them. All right?
What door is that? In the barn?
Yes.
So what do? You go in?
Yes.
Scene 33. A rich light falls. Furtively, Alan enters the square from the top end, and Jill follows. The horses on the circle retire out of sight on either side. Nugget retreats up to the tunnel and stands where he can just be glimpsed in the dimness.
Into the temple? The Holy of Holies?
What else can I do? I can't say. I can't tell her. Shut it tight.
All right. You're crazy.
Lock it.
Lock?
Yes.
It's just an old door. What's the matter with you? You're in their boxes. They can't get out. Are you all right?
Why?
You look weird.
Lock it.
Shh. Do you want to wake up Dalton? Stay there, idiot.
Describe the barn, please.
Large room. Straw. Everywhere. Some tools. A hoof pick.
Go on.
At the end, this big door. Behind it.
Horses.
Yes.
How many? Jill closes the door so you can't see them.
Yes.
And then? What happens now? Come on, Alan. Show me.
See, it's all shut. There's just us. Let's sit down. Come on.
They sit together on the same bench.
Hello.
Hello.
She kisses him lightly. He responds. Suddenly, a faint trampling of hooves off stage makes him jump up.
What is it? Relax, there's no one there. Come here. You're very gentle. I love that.
So are you? I mean.
He kisses her spontaneously. The hooves trample again harder. He breaks away from her abruptly towards the upstage corner.
What is it?
Nothing.
She moves towards him. He turns and moves past her. He is clearly distressed. She contemplates him for a moment.
Take your sweater off.
What? What?
I will if you will.
He stares at her a pause. She lifts her sweater over her head. He watches, then removes his. They each remove their shoes, socks, and their jeans. Then they look at each other diagonally across the square in which the light is gently increasing.
You're very...
So are you. Come here.
He goes to her, she comes to him. They meet in the middle and hold each other and embrace.
She put her mouth in mine. It was lovely. It was lovely. It was lovely.
They burst into giggles. He lays her gently on the floor in the center of the square and bends over her eagerly. Suddenly the noise of Equus fills the place. Hooves smash on wood. Alan straightens up rigid. He stares straight ahead of him over the prone body of the girl.
Yes. What happened then, Alan?
I put it in her.
Yes?
I put it in her.
You did?
Yes.
Was it easy?
Yes.
Describe it.
I told you.
More exactly.
I put it in her.
Did you?
All the way.
Did you, Alan?
All the way. I shoved it. I put it in her all the way.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes. Yes.
Give me the truth! Did you?
Fuck off!
He collapses, lying upstage on his face. Jill lies on her back motionless, her head downstage, her arms extended behind her. A pause.
What was it? You couldn't? Though you wanted to very much?
I couldn't see her.
What do you mean?
Only him. Every time I kissed her, he was in the way.
Who?
You know who. When I touched her, I felt him under me, his side, waiting for my hand, his flanks. I refused him. I looked right at her and I couldn't do it. When I shut my eyes, I saw him at once, the streaks on his belly. I couldn't feel her flesh at all. I wanted the foam off his neck, his sweaty hide, not flesh, hide, horse hide. Then I couldn't even kiss her.
What is it?
No.
Alan.
Stop it.
It's all right. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It often happens, honest. There's nothing wrong. I don't mind, you know. I don't at all.
He dashes past her downstage.
Alan, look at me. Alan? Alan!
He collapses.
Get out. Get out.
What?
Out.
There's nothing wrong, believe me. It's very common.
Get out.
He snatches up
Get
the invisible
out.
pick.
Put
Get
that
out.
down.
Leave me alone.
Put that down, Alan. It's very dangerous. Go on, please. Drop it.
He drops it and turns from her.
You ever tell anyone? Just you tell.
Who do you think I am? I'm your friend, Alan. Listen, you don't have to do anything. try to realize that. Nothing at all. Why don't we just lie here together in the straw and talk?
Please?
Just talk.
Please?
All right, I'm going. Let me put my clothes on first.
You tell anyone. Just tell and see.
Oh, stop it! I wish you could believe me. It's not in the least important. I won't say anything. You know that. You know I won't. Good night, then, Alan. I really wish.
He turns on her, hissing. His face is distorted, possessed. In horrified alarm, she turns, fumbles the door open, leaves the barn, shuts the door hard behind her, and dashes up the tunnel out of sight, past the barely visible figure of Nugget. Scene 34. Alan stands alone and naked, faint humming and drumming. The boy looks about him in growing terror.
What?
He was there. Through the door. The door was shut, but he was there. He'd seen everything. I could hear him. He was laughing.
Laughing?
Mocking. Mocking. Friend, Equus, the kind, the merciful, forgive me. It wasn't me, not really me. Me, forgive me. Take me back again, please. Please. I'll never do it again. I swear. I swear. Please. Please.
And he, what does he say?
Mine. You're mine. I am yours and you are mine. Then I see his eyes. They are rolling.
Nugget begins to advance slowly with relentless hooves down the central tunnel.
I see you. I see you always, everywhere, forever.
Kiss anyone and I will see?
Yes, yes.
Lie with anyone and I will see?
Yes.
And you will fail. Forever and ever you will fail. You will see me and you will fail.
Yes.
The boy turns around, hugging himself in pain. From the sides, two more horses converge with Nugget on the rails. Their hooves stamp angrily. The Equus noise is heard more terribly.
The Lord thy God is a jealous God. He sees you. He sees you forever and ever, Alan. He sees you. He sees you.
Eyes, white eyes, never close eyes like flames coming. God sees, God sees. No, no.
He steadies himself. The stage begins to blacken, quieter.
No more, Equus.
He gets up, he goes to the bench, he takes the invisible pick. He moves slowly upstage towards Nugget, concealing the weapon behind his naked back in the growing darkness. He stretches out his hand and fondles Nugget's mask gently.
Equus, noble Equus, faithful and true, God's slave, thou, God, seest nothing.
He stabs out Nugget's eyes. The horse stamps in agony. A great screaming begins to fill the theater, growing ever louder. Alan dashes at the other two horses and blinds them too, stabbing over the rails. Their metal hooves join in the stamping. Relentlessly, as this happens, three more horses appear in cones of light. Not naturalistic animals like the first three, but dreadful creatures out of a nightmare. Their eyes flare, their nostrils flare, their mouths flare. They are the archetypal images, judging, punishing, pitiless. They do not halt at the rail, but invade the square. As they trample at him, the boy leaps desperately at them, jumping high and naked in the dark, slashing at their heads with arms upraised, and shouting nothing savagely with each blow. The screams increase. The other horses follow into the square. The whole place is filled with cannoning, blinding horses, and the boy dodging among them, avoiding their slashing hooves as best he can. Finally, they plunge off into the darkness and away and out of sight. The noise dies abruptly, and all we hear is Alan yelling in hysteria as he collapses on the ground, stabbing at his own eyes with the invisible pick.
Find me! Find me! Find me! Kill me! Kill me! Kill me! Kill me!
Scene 35. The light changes quickly back to brightness. Dysart enters swiftly, hurls the blanket on the left bench, and rushes over to Alan. The boy is having convulsions on the floor. Dysart grabs his hands, forces them from his eyes, scoops him up in his arms, and carries him over to the bench. Alan hurls his arms around Dysart and clings to him. Gasping and kicking his legs in a dreadful frenzy, Dysart lays him down and presses his head back on the bench. He keeps talking, urgently talking, soothing the agony as he can.
Here. Shh. Calm down. Lie back. Just lie back. Now breathe in deep. Very deep. In, out. In, out. That's it. In, out. In, out. Keep it going. It's a good boy. Very good boy. It's all over now, Alan. It's all over. He'll go away now. You'll never see him again. I promise. You'll have no more bad dreams, no more awful nights. Think of that. You're going to be well. I'm going to make you well. I promise you. You'll be here for a while, but I'll be here too, so it won't be so bad. Just trust me. Sleep now. Have a good long sleep. You've earned it. Sleep. Just sleep. I'm going to make you well. I'm lying to you, Alan. He won't really go that easily. Just clop away from you like a nice old cart horse. Oh no. When Equus leaves, if he leaves at all, it will be with your intestines in his teeth, and I don't stock replacements. If you knew anything, you'd get up this minute and run from me as fast as you could.
Boy is in pain, Martin,
Yes,
and you can take it away.
yes.
Then that should be enough for you. In the end.
All right, I'll take it away. He'll be delivered from madness. What then? He'll feel himself acceptable? What then? Do you think feelings like this can be simply reattached like Band-Aids stuck on to other objects we select? Look at him. My desire might be to make this boy an ardent husband, a caring citizen, a worshiper of abstract and unifying God. My achievement, however, is more likely to make a ghost. Let me tell you exactly what I'm going to do to him. I'll heal the rash on his body. I'll erase the welt cuts into his mind by flaming manes. When that's done, I'll set him on a metal scooter and send him puttering off into the concrete world, and he'll never touch hide again. With any luck, his private parts will come to feel as plastic to him as the products of the factory to which he will almost certainly be sent. Who knows? He may even come to find sex funny, smirky funny, bit of grunt funny, trampled and furtive and entirely in control. Hopefully he'll nothing at his fork but approved flesh. I doubt, however, much passion, you see, be destroyed by a doctor. It cannot be created. You won't gallop anymore, Alan. Horses will be quite safe. You'll save your money every week till you can change that scooter for a car and spend glorious weekends grooming that. You'll slip off round to the betting shop and put the odd 50 pence on the nags, quite forgetting that they were ever anything more to you than bearers of little profits or little losses. You will, however, be without pain, more or less completely without pain. And I stand in the dark with a pick in my hand, striking at heads. I need, more desperately than my children need me, a way of seeing in the dark. What way is this? What dark is this? I cannot call it ordained of God. I can't get that far. I will, however, pay it so much homage. There is now in my mouth this sharp chain, and it never comes out.
Sudden blackout. End of play.
You were all fabulous.
Wow,
Amazing.
really nice
Yay.
read, guys. Wow.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
What a lovely job.
Wow.
Wow. Thank